Well, hello everyone. It is April. Today we're here to chat about 5 books that are coming out in January that sound amazing to me. So I've got 5 books for you guys here and then 5 more books for my Patreons over on Patreon. If you want 5 more, head on over there. That tier is only like $2 a month, I think. I got lots of tiers on my Patreon, blah, blah, blah. Go and check that out if you're interested and you want to support me and my channel. Let's dive into the recommendations, shall we? So book number 1 is To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara, who wrote A Little Life, very well beloved book. It's on my shelves, it's huge, and I'm afraid to read that. This is equally as large, coming in at 720 pages. And this spans 3 centuries, and it's a bit of an alternative history. So we follow characters in 1893 in New York, and we follow a young man who is coming from a very long line of distinguished family generations, and he is resisting falling in love with a music teacher of no means. We also follow a young Hawaiian man in 1993 in Manhattan at the height of the AIDS epidemic. And he is living with an older gentleman and is trying to hide from the trauma of his childhood. And then we flash forwards to 2093, where a woman is the granddaughter of a famous scientist, and she's trying to navigate life without him in a world where there are a lot of plagues. There is totalitarian rule at this point, and she's trying to navigate life without her grandfather, who she loved dearly, and also life without her husband, who disappeared suddenly. She's trying to find out what happened to her husband. It sounds really, really incredible. And I definitely want to start reading more literary fiction this year, so I might just have to put this on my wish list. And To Paradise is coming out on January 11th. Number 2 is Greenwich Park by Catherine Faulkner. This one is coming out later in January 25th. And this is a thriller. This follows Helen, who is a wealthy woman who has finally gotten her wish. She's finally become pregnant after years and years of trying. Now, when she goes to a prenatal class, she meets a woman named Rachel, who is pretty much the exact opposite of Helen. She is a single mom. She is kind of erratic in her behavior. She's not taking motherhood too seriously in the eyes of Helen. So Rachel drinks and smokes and doesn't seem very excited about this baby in any way, shape, or form. But there's something about the two of them that link them together. They become friends. And all of Helen's friends and family are kind of upset about Rachel and are worried that there is a link between Rachel and their past. And then, of course, there is. And Rachel, threatens to unveil a secret that could bring them all down. It sounds really fun. And that one is coming out, I think, January 25th. Number 3 is a nonfiction book called The Betrayal of Anne Frank, a cold case investigation by Rosemary Sullivan. This is also coming out January 25th. And this is a nonfiction book about an FBI agent who looks into what happened to Anne Frank. Everyone knows the story of Anne Frank. I strangely haven't ever read her diary, which I must rectify, obviously, at some point in my life. But this explores how Anne Frank and her family were able to live in this attic for so long without being caught. And then it looks into what actually made them become caught. Who tipped off the Nazis that Anne Frank and her family lived and were in hiding in this home. And is apparently a very shocking conclusion, and that sounds incredible to me. How have we gone all of these years without really knowing what happened to her and how her horrible fate came about? So again, that one's coming out on January 25th, and it sounds so interesting. Number 4 is a book that I own. This is The Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. And this is a bit of a retelling of Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None, which is my favorite Agatha Christie. This is about 6 20-something people who are all stunning, who are all adventurers and really love to travel. And each of them were invited to stay at an island. And they all say, of course, that sounds great. We're on our way. And as they make their way to the island, they realize that they are much more out of reach of normal society than they thought. And when they get there, they realize this was a terrible, terrible mistake to make this journey. All of them are at risk. At the end of it, we've got one person who is dead and one person who is missing. And I think you find out who is killing people off and making people disappear one by one in Reckless Girls. I cannot wait. It sounds fantastic. This one is coming out on January 4th. So it's already out. You can go and get this right now. Hooray. Number 5 and last but not least is 9 Lives by Peter Swanson. This is coming out on January 15th and it sounds so creepy. This is about 9 strangers who each receive a list with their names on it in the mail. This is giving me Beneath the Skin vibes by Nikki French, which I loved. That's my favorite thriller book of all time now. They're getting these strange messages in the mail. There's nothing else with it. There's not a note or anything. It's just the list of names. And all of them are like, well, that's weird. And they just throw it out. And then each of those people start dying in very strange circumstances. An FBI agent starts investigating because, of course, this is her job, but also she is one of those people on the list. And so we find out what in the world is happening to all of these people on the list. It sounds like a lot of fun. Again, that's coming out on January 15th. So those are the books I wanted to share with you that sound incredible. I think 2022 is going to be a great year for releases. And of course, if you want 5 more, you can head on over to my Patreon channel. That is always in the description box below. And you can receive 5 more recommendations for books coming out in January. I hope you guys are doing well and I'll talk with you soon. Bye!